Right, there's a couple of things you need to know about using Vray to make your model look nice. One, it's really bloody easy to make your model look nice in Vray. Two, it's really bloody easy to make your model look nice in Vray. There you go. Can probably stop recording now, but no, we'll go a little bit further than that. Okay, so I'm going to hit M. If you haven't enabled Vray yet and don't even know how to enable it, one, you've just spent an awful lot of money on some software that you don't know how to use. And two, come on, really? Okay, so all you do is hit F10 under Assign Renderer. It'll normally be set to something like, default scan line. That's why these are all black. And so you just click Choose Renderer and you go, oh, I'll have Vray Advance. There we go. And look, all these appear. Right, so these are my basic materials, and I'll show you how I made them, because I'm not mean, okay? So, first of all, as a general rule of thumb, I remember hearing this kind of as a joke once, but it's true. Everything has Fresnel. Okay? No Fresnel means chrome. So watch. Turn off Fresnel. Bam. Chrome. Fresnel back on. No chrome. Okay? Very simple. So, as an example, let's say I'm going to make myself a nice white, so I'll call it that in fact, a nice white kind of car material, kind of sheeny material here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my V-Rays and I'm going to make myself a V-Ray material. That's the basic kind of material, okay? And all I'm going to do is I'm going to create it so it's nice and nearly completely white. But I think this time I'll give it just a little blush of whatever the hell colour this is, which I'll assume is kind of red. It probably is. So there we go, a little bit of red. Not going to put any roughness on it, okay? And subdivisions, I'll keep it around about 8. Now, for my reflectivity, I'm going to bring that down to about there, okay? So 50%. And if you look now, if I just put on my background, well, that's an awful lot of reflectivity. Okay, well, if we just throw on Fresnel for a start, you can see our reflectivity's gone right down. And if I was to throw on our reflective glossiness at about 0.8, we suddenly start developing highlights as well. And depending on the kind of material you're going for, you'll get tighter highlights. So for example, if it's an extremely dense plastic, maybe a highlight of about 0.9 will give it a very, very sharp high polish compared to about 0.7, where you're looking at a much kind of rougher, matter material. So I tend to go for about 0.85 on mine, and they'll give it a nice shine. I'm not going to put any bump maps into it. I'm not going to have any refraction in it. I'm not going to have any of that nonsense. That's it. That's the material done, right? So that's basically what I did for this. See? This is my white material that I used for the ground. This is a slightly different coloured material that I used for the grill. And if I go a little bit higher up, this one here, same again. It's just white. It's the bodywork. Okay, it's exactly the same as that one. I mean, you can make some minor changes. For example, here they're using Blinn, and you've got the choice of Blinn, Fong, or Ward, which are all kind of the different kind of shaders. But I tend to just keep it on Blinn. I mean, if you want to mess around and use like a Fong, you can. But I like Blinn, and I'm not going to sit and explain to you all the differences because it makes my head hurt. I'm not technologically that clever. Now look at this. This is our metal material, yeah? The only difference with this metal one is the reflective glossiness is a little bit lower. Subdivisions are still 5. Let's see. Maximum depth on this one is 8, whereas the maximum depth on this one's only 5. And again, Fresnel. Turn off Fresnel. Chrome. Turn on Fresnel. Fine. Same again here. Hang on. No Fresnel. Fresnel. Okay. So that's it. That's the engine work. And I know this is just a very kind of brief, oh, it's not showing us anything. Come on, listen. Look at this. How easy do you want me to explain it to you? This one's even easier, right? So I'm just going to go over it and kind of show you how to do it, just in case you get a bit confused. Here's how you create a kind of a simple seat material. So if I go into my V-Ray material, I'm just here, and for my diffuse material I'm going to choose like quite a darkish colour here, and I'm going to add a bit more red and green to it, which will probably make it brown, I think, maybe, and just darken that a bit. There we go. So we get this nice dark colour here. Remember, I'm colourblind, so I've got no bloody idea what it is. Okay, so here's our dark colour here. Now for our reflectivity, I'm going to just crank that down to mid, and suddenly this is reflecting everything. So I'll stick our Fresnel on, and I'm going to stick our reflective subdivisions at about 0.75 for the minute. Okay, so we've got our highlights appearing. Now what I need to do next is go down here to maps, and I'm just going to go straight into a bump map here, and rather than pulling in like material to try and convince people this is leather, all I'm going to do really is just go here and just get a cellular map. Really useful little map, the cellular map. And look, already, let's make this kind of shape here. You've only got two different settings really for cellular. You've got kind of your chips and you've got your circular. So chips, these will be triangular then. And again, that's just circular. So what I'm going to do is just drop this down to about 2, and then this just becomes kind of a regular cellular bump, like that. The kind of thing that you get in a kind of a fabric where, I don't know, you know those kind of cheap fabrics you get that are kind of a faux leather? You know what I'm talking about. Now, for the cell colour itself, I've got this. I can mess around with this a bit more if I wanted to, you know, and just put sub-maps into this. So, for example, I could put kind of a checker sub-map into this, and that would affect it again. So then we get like the black, which are high points, and these which are low points, and so on. Just come back. Just going to wipe that out. There we go. But I tend to just go with something really basic like this, and you'll see we've got this nice dark kind of effect here. Now the bump's quite prominent, so all I'm going to do is just take my bump down and probably make it -15. And then these go in rather than out. Okay, and now we've got kind of the mottled surface going on. We could even make 2 different bump maps, or a displace map, or any number of things. So, I mean, the options are really, really yours there. Okay, and as for application of these, I mean, again, it could not be much simpler. I mean, if you consider that, you know, when you get your model, it's like this. We're not needing to do any complex unwrapping because it's a high poly model, and we rarely do, especially if we're turning into a game asset. All we're going to do with this is we're going to project this onto the low poly object and then build some textures for the low poly object based on a lot of our projection work anyway. So for example, if I come up here, this is our body, so I'll just go here and apply it to these pieces. Just wait patiently, might take a minute. Save, you know. There we go. Just go into there. Then this piece here, the one that I've designated engine. And then over here I've got some front pipes, so there we go. Just do those. Here's our front grille. If you recall, I've been giving our grills a nice kind of baby blue colour. I've assigned the wrong material to these, so I'll just assign the correct one. There we go. Now for these, I'll just do them all at once, and it's up to you what colour you want to make them really. I think I went with engine colour. And then down here, with this big old tube, so I'll just use that. And that'll give it that nice colour there. And that's it. That's all there is to it, right? Now, rendering this is even simpler, especially because we're using Vray. So what I do is, I'll just go over here, and I'll go down to my create panel, and I want a Vray plane, and I just put it there. And in my top viewport, I'm just going to align it underneath this. You don't have to because it's infinite, but I'm going to anyway. And then bring it down a little bit so it's just underneath like that. Okay. And another thing I should do really is apply materials to these because they're not materialed yet. And it'll look better if they are, really well. There we go. Just quickly apply this engine-y thing to it. There we are. Now, again, like I was saying, All I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple of V-Ray lights just to add a little bit of shine and glossiness into our scene. So if I go to our lights, V-Ray light, change it from a plane to a sphere. It means I've got less work to do, and basically the size of it is how much light it's throwing out. So there and there. Pull back, and I'm going to move them back a little bit. Like that. Back into perspective. Get a good angle for my piece and bring these lights kind of over the top of it as well. There we are. So like that, just get a good shot of our turbine. Okay, next I'm going to hit F10, and indirect illumination, I turn on that, and under irradiance map I'm going to make this medium while I'm testing it, or even very low depending on how powerful your computer is. And I always like to show calculation phase, that way I can see how it's coming along before it even starts rendering it properly. And then under common, obviously all your image sizes and things. You'll notice I've got safe frame on, so I can see exactly how big my image is going to be. If you never turned that on before, right click perspective, click show safe frames. That's it. Okay, and that'll show you the actual render area you're working in. And then all that's left to do is just mash the render button. And now I'm going to talk you through what's happening. At the minute, basically, it's calculating light bounces. Actually, one thing that I forgot to mention, so I'll do that now, is if you press 8, I've set my background colour here to just a mid-grey range. Okay, so back again, F9. Here we go again. Doesn't take long. I can look out the window. Maybe write a comment on Facebook. There we go. And you can see the ground is picking up this kind of shadowing underneath it. So it's very much aware of where the shadow is coming from. And you can apply materials to that infinite V-Ray plane, which obviously allows you to do all sorts of cunning things, whether it's a checker pattern or some grass or anything like that. It's a very, very powerful tool. Tum-ty-tum-ty-tum, that's pre-pass 2 nearly done. And pre-pass 3 starting. Each pre-pass is basically going to be a little bit slower until you actually come to render time. I mean, the more you tweak with this, obviously the better it's going to be. But it's all down to how much time you have and how good you are with colours and things. Something that I'm terrible with. It's unfortunate, considering that I'm just not great with colour. I wish I was. Right, it's nearly done pre-pass number 3. It'll whiz through when there's no geometry. Let's do that top piece in a second, watch. But you can't believe you're watching minutes of watching a render. It's like the worst YouTube videos, isn't it? However, here's where it gets down to the money, you know. If you just check out, it really does do a lovely job. And the Fresnel, like I say, I remember hearing it as a joke, everything has Fresnel, in a video that the V-Ray group released a while back. But it's true, look. Look at that. Okay, you don't get these mad chrome reflections on every object that you own. But we do get these Fresnel reflections. Okay? And obviously some reflectivity is less than others. But everything has Fresnel. Although you do have to understand that Fresnel will slow your rendering down quite substantially. Because it's still a calculation. It's nearly done. It's estimating it's going to take, what, 1 minute 9 seconds? 1 minute 11 seconds. These estimates are always good fun. You can turn it into a drinking game. If it goes over the estimate, you have to drink. There we go. Just wait patiently because it's nearly done. There, it's done. Okay, and that's how difficult it is to make a decent render using V-Ray. Like I say, it's not an astonishingly detailed render, but it's certainly good enough as a preview to show people and go, look at that, I done that. Oh, not clever. Give me a biscuit. Okay, now, if this is as far as you're going, well done to you. Get it made, get it posted up on our forums, get it put on Facebook. Encourage all your friends to get this training set. They'll enjoy it. Don't encourage them to download it illegally, and if they have downloaded it illegally, encourage them to buy it. It means we can make more tutorials. If you're staying on to do the game development, low poly / texturing / throw in a game engine bit, brace yourself, put on your tightest codpiece, and I'll see you in that part. But until then, TTFN.